A jury in Miami, Florida has awarded a record amount in damages in a groundbreaking RICO trial on behalf of an elderly Floridian woman and her family who had been targeted by a corrupt cartel of politicians, justice system officials, and other powerful persons in Barbados and elsewhere. A press release following the trial says a jury found for the plaintiffs in a civil RICO lawsuit and awarded substantial damages, which were trebled under RICO to a final amount of over $269 million, a record amount for this type of lawsuit. This is a significant and long-running case that is international in scope. The first legal proceedings started back in 1998. The case concerns the plaintiff's ownership of 1/7 of the shares in Kingsland Estates Limited, a Barbados corporation with land and business holdings that at one time were valued at about $1 billion US. The lead plaintiff in this latest trial, Kathleen Davis, is the daughter of the original Kingsland shareholder, Marjorie Knox, who passed away in 2017 at 95 years old. Marjorie was born in 1922 at Kingsland in Barbados. A photo here shows Kingsland Estates in the 1940s. Marjorie was born into a mixed-race family. Here's a 1946 photo of a riding group with Marjorie in the middle of this group. She married in January of 1954. And here you can see Marjorie in December of 1954 with baby Kathleen. Marjorie's family history is significant in how it tells the story of a mixed-race woman whose family went from slaves to eventually owning $1 billion worth of land in Barbados until the powers that be decided they were going to take it from them. Because she refused to take pennies on the dollar for the land, they starved her of dividends, took control, and in the end, she had to raise chickens and sell eggs on the island to survive. Here is a Nation news article back from 2005 showing Marjorie feeding her chickens, which is what she was doing by that time to survive. Meanwhile, this newspaper advertisement back from 2004 says the government has part of the land for sale for an $800 million US project. This is after they had offered Marjorie just a few $100,000. John Knox, son of Marjorie Knox, a primary witness in the trial, explained in court how the threats and harassment against their family seriously escalated starting in 2003. The jury considered and accepted evidence showing an international conspiracy and corrupt activities by persons in the United States, Barbados, Canada, and the United Kingdom, quote, a coordinated and systemic racketeering scheme employed by a person named Ian Dean and various co-conspirators to intimidate, threaten, defame, defraud, and extort the elderly victim, Mrs. Knox, into a forcible sale of her shares in Kingsland Estate Limited for a price that was far below market value. The media release following this trial states that when defendant Ian Dean, who is now deceased, his estate and co-conspirators failed to respond to the case filed in Miami courts back in 2014, Dean and his co-defendants defaulted and admitted the truth of the facts stated in the plaintiff's complaint. They go on to note here that by law, RICO cases require a high burden of proof upon the plaintiff that can only be met with accurate, credible evidence that firmly establishes the truth. Not only did the jury determine that this threshold was well met, but the trial judge also concurred. In an order released August 17, 2021, Circuit Court Judge Mark Bloomstein determined the case was based upon, quote, well-pled factual allegations concerning a systemic racketeering scheme employed by Ian Dean and various co-conspirators. The judge authorized the recovery of the damages from various defendants and co-conspirators in the ongoing case that has been before Miami courts since 2014. Attorney Michael Dribbin, a partner in the Miami law firm of Harper Meyer, who represented the plaintiffs during the 2-day jury trial, said of the judgment, quote, "It is good to know that at long last a jury of ordinary men and women was able to see the injustices that were imposed on the Knox family and were ready to say that these injustices needed to be recompensed in the only way possible, an award of significant damages." Witness testimony and documents considered by the jury included evidence showing threats, harassment, and violence against Knox family members and their witnesses, fraud, fabrication of evidence, obstruction of justice, bribery of police, and other corrupt activities by business, lawyers, politicians, government officials, and others, including judicial officials in 4 countries, with a purpose to steal, defraud, and deny the plaintiffs the proper value of their shares. The jury also heard evidence that some of the stolen funds were transferred and money laundered internationally between the United Kingdom, Barbados, and other offshore havens. Documents seized in a 2018 search of defendant Ian Dean's home in the United Kingdom show the participation of banking officials and lawyers in these illicit transfers. Here are photos from 2018 showing some of the boxes and documents found during a search at Ian Dean's home in the UK. One of the interesting things found in these documents were details on how Ian Dean had an alias of Adam White. Under this alias, he worked for the BBC, was in London and on the stage. Also found at Ian Dean's home were government documents. Here you can see a document titled Guidelines for the Detection and Prevention of Money Laundering in Barbados. This is a government guideline that tells government officers what to look for when looking for money laundering. Ian Dean was not a government officer and had this at his home. Why would he have this? Possibly to know what investigators would be looking for. Records found at the home also show that Ian Dean was a private high net worth client at a leading Canadian bank where he was moving money offshore. Also found at Ian Dean's home, you can see here a summons issued in 2014 telling him about the Miami case that he ignored. The lead plaintiff, Kathleen Davis, said of the jury verdict, quote, "My mother was born in 1922 at Kingsland in Barbados, in the very parish where our ancestors had been slaves. She worked at Kingsland from age 17 and spent her whole life on her lands until 2008, when she was forced to flee Barbados at 86 years old due to threats and violence intended to force her to sell her shares in Kingsland Estates. She never saw the results of her decades-long fight for justice, but this jury award has vindicated that my mother's fight was righteous and justified." Once again, the Kingsland case is international in scope, has been ongoing for decades, and there are full stories that deserve more attention in their own follow-up videos. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, remember to click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.